Hello again, second grade. I am so glad to see you. We have wrapped up our work with number lines, and I don't know how you feel about those number lines. I love them, but they can be a little tricky. So today we're going to kind of change gears and look at another way, adding another tool to our toolbox about how we can solve adding these 3-digit numbers. Let's go ahead and get our targets ready, our bow and arrows ready, and see what's in store for us today. I can add 3-digit numbers using partial sums. Ooh, second grade. We're still doing those 3-digit numbers. They have hundreds, tens, and ones. But now we're going to be adding them using partial sums. What is a sum? Yes, it's the answer to an addition problem. The sum. When we add two numbers together, the sum is what that answer is. So when we think about partial sums, there's a little word inside of partial, and that's the word part. So we know that we can, we've seen this with our number lines, we've seen this with our base 10 blocks as well, that we can break up our 3-digit numbers into smaller parts and make them easier to add. Well, partial sums is exactly that. It's just using numbers instead of pictures. We're breaking apart our numbers to find the sum. And we actually find a sum here, a sum here, a sum here, and then we put them all together. Let's see how we might do that today, okay? Partial sums, 336 plus 123. How might you solve that? And try to think if you're just using those numbers and you're thinking about that expanded form. So think of 336 as 330 and 6. Think of 123 as 120 and 3. Okay? Go ahead and start solving, and then we're going to come together and share these partial sums. Go ahead. How did you break apart your 3-digit number? What was one of those parts? Your hundreds. Okay, what about your other part? Tens. Okay, and then your ones. So what did you add together first? And what did you find when you added your ones together? Okay, what did you do when you added your tens together? How many tens did you have? How much is that worth? How many hundreds did you have? How much is that worth? So if you had this many hundreds, this many tens, and this many ones, what number does that make? Ah, why didn't you write it like this? Very good. That would be a really big number, wouldn't it? Friends, as we're coming together, remember, pause if you're not ready to do this, okay? Resume it when you're ready to see these different ways. We're going to go ahead and share one right now. And what I'm actually going to do is draw our base 10 blocks to represent these numbers, and then we're going to see how we can connect that to our partial sums. So I'm going to just do a quick little draw. 336 123. And just so we can have that little visual. I probably should have done that ahead of time, I'm sorry. So when you're doing your next one, if that would help you to see that, please feel free to draw those base 10s as we jump into partial sums and play around with these. Then you might not have to do it during your independent practice because you're kind of seeing what that looks like. So my first friend wrote out their partial sums and did it like this. 300 plus 30 plus 6. 100 plus 20 plus 3. What do you notice about those two numbers? And maybe what do you notice about how that connects to our base 10? All right, so we have our 300, and there's our 300 here. Our 30, our 30. Our 6, our 6. What about the 123? 123. So why would we write it like this instead of drawing it like this? This is that idea of partial sums right here. This is one example of that. What do you notice about it? It's just using numbers, right? So it's saying 300 plus 30 plus 6, which is the same here. It's just instead of drawing pictures, we're seeing the expanded form, right? We're stretching it out and thinking about the number of hundreds, tens, and ones. Okay, so my friend who wrote it like this, what did you do first? You know that 6 plus 3 is 9, okay? What did you do next? 3 plus 2 is 5. So 30 plus 20 is 50, okay? And then what? 300 and 100 is 400. Are you done? Okay, so then what is your sum? So this is these two numbers, our sum is that. These two numbers, the sum is 50. These two, the sum is 9. Those are each of those parts. Now, what is that number going to be when we add those three together? 459. Ms. Baker wrote on her wall a little bit. Whoops a daisy. Okay, 459. So when we add 336 plus 123, we should have 459. We're adding our hundreds, our tens, and our ones together. Makes me think a lot of our base 10 models from a couple days ago, right? So when we're looking at that, this is one of those ways to show that. But not everybody did it this way. In fact, I saw one friend set theirs up a little different. They said, let's see, Miss Baker shouldn't have written that so big. 336 plus 123. And I know what some of y'all are thinking. Oh, my dad do it like that. But we're not going to do it like your mom and your dad. Okay? So what did you do first when you were doing this? I know three tens and 110 is 3 hundreds and 100 is 400. So I'm going to write 400 right here. 30 plus 20 equals 50. 6 plus 3 equals 9. So now you have 400, 50, and 9. I'm just going to draw that over here so you can see it a little bit easier. Now, how did we add that up? We did our hundreds and we filled that place. So we need to have our 4 in the hundreds place, a 0 in the tens place, a 0 in the ones place. When we did our 50, we knew that was 3 tens and 2 tens, which is 5 tens, which is 50. So we have our 5 in the tens place, our 0 in the ones place. Then we have our ones, and our 6 and our 3 is 9, so we write it in the ones place. Then, and only then, can we see our 4 hundreds, 5 ones, and 5 tens and 9 ones to make this sum of 459. Does everybody see that? Okay, so what's really important with both of these, lining them up, matching your hundreds with your hundreds, your tens with your tens, your ones with your ones. If you get off just a little bit, it doesn't work. You've got to be very precise in lining those up. Does everybody understand me? You with me? Thumb up if you understand. Hundreds, tens, and ones, we've got to line them up. Now, I did ask one of my friends, why didn't you write it 450 and 9? Why didn't we write it like that? Right? Because each number or each digit represents how many that is. So when we have our 400, we're just putting it in the hundreds place. 4 hundreds, 5 tens, 9 ones. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 digits. That's not a 3-digit number anymore, is it? So we have our hundreds place, our tens place, and our ones place. Don't forget that, okay? Let's go ahead and look at our next one. 512 plus 336 equals, we don't know what the sum is. 512 plus 336. Now remember, we can always look back at our work from the problem before to help us solve the next one. That's why we put it up. That's why we keep it up. What are you adding together first? How are you showing 512? How are you writing it out? Are you expanding it? Or are you writing it on top of the other like we did in blue up above? Go ahead and give yourself some time to solve it. Pause me while you work. I'm going to go ahead and share. You resume when you are done doing your work and you're ready to listen. Got it? Okay. All right, talk to me about what you did, my friend. 500 plus 10 plus 2. 500s, 110, 2 ones. 512, 500 plus 10 plus 2. Plus 10 and 2 is 12. There's that little teen number, isn't it? Plus 330 and 6. I'm seeing some wiggle waggles. I love seeing that expanded form, friends. All right, what's the first little part sum that you're doing? 2 plus 6 equals 8. You added your ones together. Then what did you do? 10 plus 30 equals 40. 500 plus 300 equals 800. And then what did you find? That equals 8. Oh my goodness, Miss Baker. 840 and 8. 848. I'm seeing some wiggle waggles. Who else did that one? Awesome. All right, let's set it up like this one and see how this looks a little different, okay? So you have 512, 336, and friends, if it helps you to line them up by even giving your like a little H2O chart at the top and labeling those, that could help. Make sure you line them up just right. What did you add together first? You added your 800. Then what? 40. And then what? 8. And then what did you find? Your 8 in the hundreds, your 4 in the tens, your 8 in the ones. And there we have 848. Again, take a peek at both of these ways. How are they similar? They both got the same answer. How else are they similar? They had 800, 40, and 8. How are they different? That's interesting. I was wondering if anybody was going to catch on to that. With this one, we added the hundreds first. With this one, we added the ones first. Do you think it matters? I don't know. I bet you could do the same thing here. As long as you are adding your hundreds, adding your tens, adding your ones, I imagine it would get the same answer. What do you think? When you're doing your work together or on your own, today you have 4 more problems to think about. And today, instead of using the number line, instead of using your base 10 models, I'm challenging you to do your partial sums. So remember, take a screenshot, take a picture, pause me while you work so you can see this. But I want you to think about how you can use your partial sums to help you add these 3-digit numbers together. Don't forget, you need to line up and add together your hundreds to your hundreds, your tens to your tens, and your ones to your ones. If you get off, it's not going to work. Happy solving!